Hello, my tribe. How are you today? I am here with my good friend Tammy Helfrich, and Tammy has agreed to interview me. Tammy's profession is she is a business and mindset coach. Is that right, Tammy?
Yes.
And her business is Tammy Helfrich Coaching. Tammy has had a podcast for how many years, Tammy?
Well, I've had multiple ones now, so it's been almost 6 years. It's crazy.
So I will provide links to Tammy's podcast because it is something that I truly enjoy listening to. And I sort of got this idea about doing interviews in the Sweet Vibe Energy Tribe from listening to Tammy replay some of her older podcasts where she was interviewing guests. And I thought she was such a gifted interviewer, and it got me started thinking. And it's difficult for me to self-promote and tell you all about me and all the things I do. Tammy not only is a friend, but she has been a client of mine in my work for several years now. So she knows many of the little facets of what I do better than a lot of people do. And so she's the perfect one to interview me. So Tammy, take it away.
Yay! Thank you so much. This is an honor to get to interview you. Yes, I had a podcast where all I did was interview people for a long time, and it was so fun. I do love doing it. So thank you. So, okay, let's start, Dawn, with you just giving people a little bit about you, about Dawn, and exactly what you do, because I know you do so many different things. But tell us just a little bit about maybe why you do what you do is a good question to start, I think.
Yeah. So many years ago now, I had two little trips through Cancerville. And when I was gifted, and I do feel that it is a gift that I received, that I got to survive my second journey through cancer. When I came out the other side, I really became very mindful and very prayerful about that experience and just asked God to help me find ways to use the lessons that I learned to benefit other people. And so it began this journey into things more holistic and healthy choices in my own life. I think I was pretty healthy prior to that, but I wasn't doing it in a super mindful way. And so all of a sudden, the world just started to open up to me. And I love the yogic saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And teachers just began to appear in my world. And so I started to learn about oils. I started to learn about some healing modalities. And I used those for my own healing journey because I think that's where you have to start. You have to start with yourself and do the personal work that's required. You can't just jump into thinking you're going to heal the world unless you do the work personally first. So I did the personal work. And then I just started to find opportunities to share what I was learning and what I had learned with other people.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. I love that. I love, and you have been one of my teachers. So I love how when we open ourselves up to that, then we are also opened up to other teachers. So that's great. So let's maybe go into like what led you to create this group, the group that we're posting this in, the Sweet Vibe Energy Tribe, which I love.
Sweet Vibe Energy Tribe. I know, I do love the name, and I do love the energy that is being shared there. Someone commented this morning, thank you for creating this platform where we can share the reels. And not reels like Instagram reels, but the real deal. Like I think for quite a few years now, I think I've been secretly doing energy work and publicly doing oils. I feel like I kind of was letting my identity be all about oils. And I do love the oils, and I do love Young Living oils. But all of a sudden, in December, I was at a sound healing ceremony. And I very vividly heard a little whisper in my ear that said, it is time to remember your essence and why you do the work you do and who you're here to serve. And it was like, wow, such a profound message. And from that moment, I started to think, what am I doing and why am I doing it? And have I forgotten a little bit of the whole big picture? And so one day I was thinking about the group that I had on Facebook, which was called Oil Fun. And I was looking at that group as a place to educate my oilers, people who already knew about me and knew I did oilers, so people wouldn't feel sold or solicited, but they would feel educated. And I thought, why am I limiting it to just talking about oils when I am so much more and I'm passionate about so much more? And I really felt like part of what I was being called to serve is women in community. I think by nature I'm a gatherer, and we're coming out of this year of isolation, and I was craving community. And so when I thought about how could I switch that group's vibe to something that would be more about community and more about women supporting other women. I know so many beautiful entrepreneurial women, and I want to provide a platform where they can, toot their own horn and celebrate their accomplishments and support one another.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. So let's talk about energy, because that's a big part. And I love how you said that you were publicly doing oils and secretly doing energy, because I know as a client of yours that that is such a gift that you have, and has completely changed my life to be able to experience and to work with you energetically. So maybe talk just a little bit for those who may not understand, like me when I didn't, when I first started, like what is energy work? And could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So I am formally trained in Reiki, the Usui method of Reiki, which is a very traditional ancient method of doing energy work. I kind of stopped calling the work that I do Reiki a while ago because I incorporate so many other modalities into it. And I call it intuitive energy work because I really believe that my niche is tapping into what your soul and what your energy are calling for. And I try to kind of step out of the way and let spirit and let source guide me. And sometimes at the end of a session, I may not even know all the things that I said or exactly what went on because I just go so deep and allow myself to be a conduit. But if you've never experienced Reiki, it's kind of hard to describe it. And I think two ways that I have often described it to people: when someone does Reiki, usually they are kind of hovering their hand over you or very lightly touching you. And it's a way of asking for source energy to travel through me for your highest good. And you may feel and experience a myriad of things during an energy session. But I say it's kind of a way of experiencing guided relaxation without words being necessary or without real touch being necessary. You will always know where my hands are hovering, whether I'm touching you or not, because you will feel the energy in some way. It might feel warm, you might feel a little hum or a buzz. I don't like to describe all the things you could feel because I feel from my personal experience, the first time I experienced Reiki, I knew nothing. I had no expectations. I thought I was about to have a massage. And when I started to feel things, I was like, what is happening here? This is amazing. And it was so authentic to me because I had no preconceived ideas
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
But I think one beautiful way to think about what Reiki might feel like that I tell people is, if you could picture yourself as a child and you are laying in your bed and you're sick and you have a fever and the chills and the body aches and you just feel horrible. And your mother comes in and she sits on the side of your bed and she lays her hand gently on your forehead. And if you think about how you might feel in that moment, that's what Reiki feels like.
Yes.
It
Oh, I
just feels
love
like
that.
that warm, comforting touch.
Yeah. And I love that description, because I had never experienced anything and I was very nervous about it because I just had not, I didn't really understand that we're all energy, right? I didn't get that. I had like, I feel like completely blocked that. And I think probably a lot of people can relate to that. Can you talk a little bit like why we don't even know that we're
Yeah,
energetic
so
beings?
so emotions get stuck in our body, and a really good way to think about it is kind of that chicken or the egg. Do I have a kink in my neck because of a positional situation, or do I have a kink in my neck because of the emotion that I'm feeling? And there's a vulnerability in my neck, so that emotion went there and created pain. I remember years ago when there used to be a commercial on TV about depression, and I remember them very clearly saying depression hurts.
Mm,
Well, different emotions feel differently in our body, but most of us are on autopilot, and we're just cruising through our life without really acknowledging what the feeling is that we're feeling. And the feeling isn't going to just disappear. It's going to find a way to get your attention. And sometimes it gets your attention by a feeling in your gut, by a feeling in your neck, a little pain in your jaw, something in your back, a headache. And when we start to realize that those are emotions that are getting trapped there, nobody ever taught us how to let them go, how to
right.
get them out of there. And energy work is an extremely gentle way of helping those emotions get processed, as the body is very capable of doing, and released in a gentle way without having to dredge it all up and tell the story.
Yes, yes. I think we just have never been taught that because first of all, we aren't taught that when we don't process it, that it stays in our body, right? And then we think the only way to release it is to talk about it, which isn't the case all the time, right? Like so much of the work that you do is helping it to get out of your body and to release it. So I think that's so great.
And there are so many ways to get those blocked areas open. So a lot of the work I do is with the chakra centers, which are kind of the main energy centers of the body. And if you don't know about chakras, that's like a whoa, woo, woo terminology. But really, the chakras are the energy centers that correspond to the vital organ centers in the body. So you have the root, that's kind of about feeling security, feeling safe, and that's the spine and the lower, like, end of the spine, bottom of the spine. And then you have the sacral chakra, which is a lot about our relationship with our family. It's about our relationship with our mothers, or those people in our lives who mother us. It's also our relationship with the people that we mother. And so you can imagine certain circumstances and certain family occasions and holidays that can really get us blocked up in the sacral chakra area. And sometimes we experience that as cramping or low back pain. Then there's the solar plexus, which is right below the rib cage. And that's all about self-confidence and self-esteem. And there are expressions that we say like, oh, I felt it in my gut. Right. Well, and then you get the posture of protection and holding that in. And then there's the heart, and that's all about love and loving others, but being able to receive love as well. And then there's the throat center. And the throat center is all about communication, but it's not just about what we say. The ears are a part of that communication center. So it's not only what we hear you say, but it's what I hear me say. It's what my inner voice says to me. And it's kind of learning how to discern the truth we're telling ourselves from the lies we tell ourselves.
Right.
And then there's the third eye, which is all about our intuition and our inner knowing. And then there's the crown, which is about our connection to source energy.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of work in kind of clearing and connecting those energy centers so that energy can flow freely through the body.
Yes, and you are fantastic at it. It has become honestly one of my self-care rituals monthly that I spend time with Dawn because it has changed everything about how I show up, and understanding that my energy needs to keep flowing. And when it gets stuck is when I start to have issues. So let's talk. One thing that you told me very early on, and I found you through a friend that I trusted. So, but I remember you telling me very early on to make sure that anytime you're doing energy work, that you trust that person, because unfortunately, the reality is some people just don't have our highest good in heart, right? So could you maybe speak to that just a little bit?
Sure. I learned that lesson myself early on. I was going to an acupuncturist, and I thought she did really great acupuncture, but there was something about her. And it was early on in my discernment, and I maybe didn't even have the vocabulary to understand what it was about her that didn't really ring true to me. But she used to tell me that she was doing energy work on me in those 30 minutes that I was laying on the table with the needles in, that she would be in her office next door doing energy work. But I could hear her on the phone arguing with her husband and talking to her kids about their homework and doing different things. And I thought, well, gosh, you're not doing energy work on me when you're in the other room, because I don't want that energy on me while I'm here. And then I also went to one of those expos, like an energy expo, and you could feel almost like desperation of people trying to pull you in and let them work on you in the midst of 1,000 people in this huge expo. And I really became aware of what might be called energy vampires, and how when you open yourself up in that trust relationship to allow someone to work on your very essence, you need to be sure that you really trust them to have your highest good, and that there is no ulterior motive. I love that you refer to coming to me for energy work as self-care. And I love that that's what it is for you, because I am very clear in the work that I do. Sometimes my husband will say, what about so and so? They haven't come for a long time, or so and so. And I'll say, they came to me while they were grieving the loss of their mother, and I helped them work through that until they really felt good again. I don't want to create need. I want to create wellness so that you're strong and capable and comfortable. And if I could be part of your wellness care or your, monthly self-care, that's the goal.
Yes. Yeah. And I realized that during, I think it was before the pandemic, but I realized there had been a couple months where I hadn't seen you. And all of a sudden it hit me, oh my gosh, this is why I feel so out of control, because I haven't seen Dawn. But then what I also realized, because I've worked with you for so long, is that I don't need you. Like, you've taught me how to be more aware of that. So it's not that I've become dependent. It's just that I choose, because you help me get into a deeper place than sometimes I can get to on my own. And so it's always interesting when I refer people to you, because they ask, well, what does she do? Well, it's hard to explain. And because you are so intuitive, and you really, it is personalized to every person that comes. Like, maybe speak to someone that who's maybe been seeing you and loves the energy of your group and likes what you're doing. Like, what would you say to them if they were considering coming to have a session with Dawn?
Well, you can think of it as a little bit of a tune-up. Like, if you are just feeling like your energy's off, or maybe you're like, gosh, why is my fuse so short right now with my kids, or with my husband, or with the situation in the world at large? And how can I get back to feeling like I used to feel when I feel imbalanced? That's the perfect time to come to see
Yeah.
me. Or if you know that I just started working with someone who had a lot of traumatic experiences in her childhood. And as she began to describe, I said, tell me what I should know about you. And as she started to describe herself to me, I could hear a resignation in her voice. She's fine. She's just fine. I'm fine. But really, I'm like, do you want to feel more? Do you want to feel more like I'm about not, we're not all going to feel good all the time, but I want to feel the feelings. When something is out there that legitimately you maybe should feel low about or feel upset about or feel concerned about, feel it.
Yes.
Feel it. And if you need help feeling the courage to feel it, come see me. We can work on the courage to help you be prepared to feel the feelings so that you can experience the lows and the highs and not just be on autopilot in neutral.
Yes, yes. And that's what I love about how you describe it, because you do, first of all, you create a very safe space for anyone who's coming. You're very intentional about making sure that people feel safe when they are with you. But it is also for growth and grief and joy and all the emotions, right? It's not just it, like you said, if you're feeling really down or if you're feeling really up. Like I know sometimes I come to you and I'm like, holy cow, things are fantastic. What are we going to work on? And we
Let's work
come
on
up
more
with
of that.
right, exactly. So
Yeah. And I mean, I think we haven't touched on EFT. And so I think that's a modality that a lot of people don't know about. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique.
mhm,
The cool thing about emotional freedom technique is it translates beautifully to Zoom, an environment like this. And EFT is tapping. And a lot of people have kind of seen tapping summits or heard about tapping. I had been in multiple workshops over the years where they just touched on tapping, never to the point that I felt confident really even doing tapping until I got certified in it. And that was an aha moment because the places that we tap as we go through the sequence
mhm,
are all the ends of the meridian channels in our body. And the meridian channels are channels that run through our body that carry energy and that help us to digest emotions and process feelings. And so when things are kind of blocked up in there or stuck or stagnant, when we begin to do the tapping sequence, we're kind of waking that up and we're letting the central nervous system start to say, oh, right, I know what to do with this. I'll start to process through with this. And then we give it a dialogue so we can do a reset and take it from the negative where we're stuck into the positive where we prefer to be. But it's not just doing positive affirmations, it's doing the body work along with it and getting to the place where the brain believes what it is we're saying.
yeah.
Tammy, would you, if you remember, if you could share a story, because I think it is so a part of the intuitiveness of the way I work and the way I have worked with you. Do you remember the day, it was not that long ago, I was doing energy work on you and we always process for a couple of minutes when we're done. And I said, I don't know, I just kept being drawn to your left shoulder and I felt like something was sticky there, or I just kept getting stuck there. And,
Yes.
I said that to you and then tell everybody what happened after that.
Yes. So I had been wearing this like vitamin patch and I didn't even remember that I had it on, but you totally knew that it was there and it was blocking what you were trying to do.
And maybe I think you thought you had been considering the fact that maybe this vitamin patch wasn't serving you, like
Right.
maybe wasn't
Right.
exactly the right thing for you.
Yeah.
And I didn't know Tammy had this on, but every time I got near it, I was like, oh, it just feels really weird and sticky right there.
So funny. That's what I love. Yeah. And we are already, my goodness, we're already going over the time that we wanted because there's just so much that you have. We might have to do a part two of this.
That would be great.
But what I wanted to say to that, yes, is, and we have had so many amazing sessions where both of us are like, whoa, what just happened? Like something much bigger than us is happening when we open ourselves up to that. And I'm just so grateful for you in my life. You are
Thank
just such
you.
a treasure. But I love that you have so many different modalities that you use. Like you said, we've talked a lot about energy. You do EFT, you do crystal sound bowls, you do oils, you do
Reflexology.
reflexology, right? so
Yes.
many things that you do. And I loved watching you learn how to incorporate all those things. Like you said, it's not Reiki. I mean, it's a part of it, but there's so much more that you do. And I love seeing people stepping into that, right? You're just continually tapping into what are these gifts that you have, and you're serving us as your clients and as the world by doing that. So I think that's so fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, we all benefit when I get a new passion. I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh, how can I bring that to the world?
Yes, awesome. So we might have to do another one of these because again, I feel like we didn't even touch on it, but we want people to watch this, so we're gonna cut it short. But
Thank you.
tell people, so if they want to book a session with you, if they want to just know more about it, what's the best way for them to?
So in the comments below, when we post this video, I will put the link to my scheduling calendar. So you can schedule one-on-one sessions with me in person or via Zoom. And then I do group sessions. So Tammy booked me last month to come to Society 57 in Aurora to do a sound bath and a full moon ceremony. I could come to your business or corporate event. I could come to your yoga studio. I could come to your hair salon. If you would like to gather a group of like-minded people and have a ceremony, a ritual, a celebration, a sound bath, I can make that happen for you. And then the third thing is workshops. I love to teach. And right now I know that, like this will be up for a while and it will be past, but there will always be workshops. Right now I'm doing the Crescent Moon Dream Catcher workshop. Next month, I will be doing a crystal grid workshop. I will be teaching anything that I decide, oh, I love this, I want to share it with somebody. There'll be a workshop, and you can always invite me. If you gather a group of friends, I'll come and teach a workshop to you and your group.
Yes, that's so awesome. And sessions with Dawn also make a fantastic gift for people. I have gifted them,
Oh yeah,
and I have
thank you.
someone that I need to get a gift certificate for next. So yeah, Dawn, and I think maybe our next one should be more about the ceremony and the ritual, because I know that's a big part of what you like to do, and maybe that will be our part 2 that we can talk about, because we didn't even get to talk about that too much.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Tammy, so much for
Thank
giving me
you.
the opportunity to share about myself. It helped to have you ask questions, so I'm not just, blah, blah, blahing all about
Yes.
Dawn.
Yes.
And soon I will be interviewing Tammy. So you should be on the lookout for an interview with Tammy all about Tammy Helfrich coaching. And there will be lots of friends in the Sweet Vibe who will be interviewed by me, and there will be all kinds of sharing. So let's just cheer each other on. Let's just support each other, be there for each other, and truly be community with each other.
Yes. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend.